Hi, I'm John, and I'm not a YouTuber, but I really hope you'll hear me out as far as the Batman v Superman movie. There are tons of things that people miss. I don't know exactly why or how people miss this, all of the bad reviews. I wonder if there is some hidden agenda there, but I'm just going to go through some things that I believe people missed. Basically, the movie's called Dawn of Justice, and there are different forms of justice. I've, basically focused on four. There's the form of justice that Superman embodies, which is going around saving people, being the hope. If you get in trouble, I'm going to save you. There's Batman's form of justice. Basically, um, they're bad people and they need to be stopped. They need to stop making the world a bad place. Um, there is Lex Luthor's form of justice, actually, which is basically get power, stop threats. And I decide who, I have control and I decide what justice is for myself. And then there's actually the true form of justice, which is the senator. I forgot her name, but she's a senator. She talks about democracy. She talks about responsibility and things like that. And I think she's pretty important in the movie. Um, and actually, I want to say that there are very strong woman characters in this movie. Wonder Woman, Lois Lane, and the Senator. People think Lois Lane is just a damsel in distress, but I think she's actually the one who pushes the movie forward. In the beginning of the movie, we just look at motivations. Now, Bruce's motivation to want to kill Superman has to do with how he became Batman, feeling powerless to stop his parents' killers. Um, and, there were no cops, uh, and he became an orphan. Now, um, it's no coincidence that the next scene was him saving a girl who he asked where her mom is, and that she's in the building that Superman, the scene from Man of Steel, Superman just pretty much demolished. So she's an orphan just like him. He looks at Superman and he takes those feelings that he had as a child and he projects them onto Superman, as this girl is an orphan just like him. Um, Now, Lex Luthor. He is talking to the senator about wanting to protect everyone, but he doesn't really want to protect anyone. He just wants power, and he talks about a silver bullet and not wanting to depend on guys like Superman and aliens and things like that. But we'll talk about his motivations later. Um, Now, we talk about Bruce's motivations. Now, he just saved some woman from prostitution, human trafficking, things like that. Um, but the key thing in this scene when he's talking to Alfred, first of all, Alfred talks about he has armor. That's how he's able to get shot and still live. And in that later scene, but Alfred talks about powerlessness makes hearts turn cold. Powerlessness, big thing there. Now Clark, he isn't perfect, but I don't think he believes he's perfect. Um, but as far as Batman, he doesn't like the intentional damage that Batman does. He sees that he does a lot of damage, but it's never intentional, really. Um, Now, going to Lois, and people miss this. Lois is actually trying to get to the bottom of what's really going on. She finds this bullet that is from the people and those soldiers in the village, and she investigates that bullet, and she starts to find that if she can get down to the owner of the bullet, then she can kind of find out like who the big bad is, essentially. Um, and pretty much everyone kind of loses focus on who the big bad is. They just start fighting each other. Um, Now, again, Lex is fronting like he wants to make a difference, like he wants to be some hero, but he just wants power. I mean, Lex's biggest motivation is power, um, and gets pissed off at the senator, who again represents pure justice. He gets pissed off because she blocks his import license for kryptonite. Um, Now, Bruce goes and visits his parents' grave. Obviously, he's feeling powerless, just like Alfred said, it's powerlessness. He gets attacked by a gargoyle, but when he wakes up, you hear the sound of the world engine, and he's kind of slipping kind of into a dark place. You know, he's feeling really powerless, and the suit that we see um, from Robin, that looks like no, I didn't really hear this, but or hear this mentioned, but the suit looks like a suit that fits someone who's maybe 5 feet, 5'2". It doesn't look like a tall person fits that suit, so it looks like it could be a kid. Um, and everyone knows, and the Batman of canon is affected by friends and family getting captured, killed. That's his true weakness, and that really affects him, and that furthers his feeling of powerlessness and his heart growing cold that Alfred said. Um, we talk. Lois tries to investigate the bullet further, and the she talks to the secretary, who was the commander in the last Man of Steel movie, and he talks about Superman losing his halo. Now we kind of see Superman. There's a lot of montage about like who is Superman. Is he God? Is he man? Is he just this guy trying to save people? Superman's actually losing his identity. In Man of Steel, he really just put on the suit and tried to be this hero, but he didn't have the 10 years that we're used to him having in the Superman story. He just basically puts on the suit, really no training, and just tries to save people because he has powers. He doesn't have a good solid foundation of his identity. Now, Lex has really been busy, and people have not mentioned this. Lex has been really busy. You don't have to say all of Lex's motivations. You can kind of see how freaking evil genius he is. Um, Now he knows about metahumans, he knows about the Kryptonian spaceship, he knows about kryptonite, and he talks about how it's paradoxical to have knowledge with no power. Um, Wonder Woman is actually, I believe, trying to find out what his motivations are, because like Lois, she's trying to get down to the bottom of who the big bad is. But I think she gets distracted, which I think is kind of a plot hole. But I won't go into that. Now, as we go through the movie, I think Clark feels like he's doing a bad job. He's questioning his identity, and he more focuses on Batman. And again, this doesn't have to be said. You could just see he starts focusing on Batman because he's insecure. He sees this guy who may be making more of a difference than he is, and he's more jealous, and he doesn't like how he does things as well. So you mix those two things, and let's start investigating this guy, and getting all up in his business and stuff like that. Um, and he really wants to start taking care of real threats. He saves all these people, but is he really stopping any real threats? Um, Now, in the nightmare dream, it kind of just shows more of Batman's motivation. Like, he sees Superman as a threat. Plain and simple, that's what that dream serves for. Wakes up, sees Flash. He doesn't know it's Flash, but he sees Flash, and he says, Lois is the key. It's all about Lois. Essentially, it's all about Lois. You were right about him. And he says, am I too soon? I'm too soon. People miss that. He said, I'm too soon. He said, you have to find us, Bruce. Find us. Alright, now Lois is the key. Superman goes crazy. If something happens to Lois, Batman says, how many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? He's in a dark place. Alright, and been lying to Alfred, and we find out that the White Portuguese actually carries kryptonite. That's what the White Portuguese is, and that's the big bad that he was investigating. The big bad is Superman in his eyes, and that's kind of off. Superman confronts him and gives him more motivation to want to kill him. He says, next time you shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. The bad is dead. Consider this mercy. And like, oh, you decide who gets mercy or not? Man, Superman is totally, yeah, he's not the type of Superman that we're used to. Now, I just really want to emphasize how much of an evil genius that Lex is. He's a true evil genius. He blows up that place. He gets the guy in the wheelchair, he's basically been using. He blows up the place, and he kills his own assistant, the Asian woman, who I forgot her name. But yeah, he's truly evil, and he knows a lot of things. basically just talking a little bit more about Lex. Like he knows, like I said before, a whole lot of things. Then he gets into the ship, and he finds a little bit more. Now this happens after Batman steals the kryptonite after the courthouse blows up, and furthermore, Superman says he didn't see the bomb because he wasn't looking. I mean, he's completely off his game. I think he's completely just lost. Um, Batman wants to kill him because, you know, everywhere that he goes, there's destruction. Now, Lex is in this place, this evil plotting genius with the knowledge of 100,000 worlds in his hand. Obviously, we don't have to see this, but obviously, he asked the computer, where does Superman come from? How do you kill him? Doomsday. How do you make Doomsday? Here's how you make Doomsday. It involves cutting your hand and getting blood or a deformed, you know, the blood of another species or something like that. Most likely, it was in the chamber that Superman's dad wanted him to use to resurrect Krypton and be a bridge between humans. Obviously, that chamber was used to make people. And so there was some more metamorphosis that took place, but the computer told him how to do it. You don't have to see a scene of that. Okay? Now Superman talks to Lois. He leaves. Basically says that he is just, um, you know, righting the wrongs of a ghost. He's afraid he didn't see the place explode because he wasn't looking. Superman was never real. It's just a dream of some farmer from Kansas. Yeah, basically, he has to leave. He's so confused. He doesn't know. He's lost his way. I mean, and he has to get out of there. And it kind of plays to, again, if I mentioned it before, the 10 years. Superman took 10 years to become Superman, and some people say Smallville was 10 seasons long. 10 years, you know, it took 10 years to become Superman. This Clark never got that, and he's lost, and he's seeing his dad, and talk about like the mistakes he's made. Interesting point. His dad says that Martha is his world, and Superman, a lot of his justice revolves around Lois, saving Lois, and Lois comes first. Lois is his world. Now going back to Bruce, he says, I'm older now than my father ever was. This may be the only thing that means something. That's killing Superman. Now he looks like this old guy. Now in all of his career as Batman, he thinks that killing Superman is the only thing that means something. Now that may or may not be true, but it shows his psyche, his powerlessness, his coldness, his darkness, and he's killing people. He's killed tons of people. And yeah, he wants a legacy. He's lost, just like Superman is. He's really trying to go back to his identity. That's why he visits the tomb. He wants to really get to his roots. He says about the Waynes, you know, they were traders, and you know, says they were hunters. Now we have Lois trying to investigate this bullet, trying to get to the bottom of that. Superman's gone. Bruce is trying to find his identity. He's lost. He wants to kill Superman. Lex is just trying to conquer the world basically by finding this power of knowledge and making this plan. Now he has made this crazy plan basically that is freaking genius. He kidnaps Lois and Martha, pushes Lois off of the building so that Superman will come out of refuge, and he has kidnapped Martha so that Superman will kill Batman, who I don't know exactly why he wants to kill Batman. My thoughts are, one, maybe because, I mean, and he obviously knows who Batman is because he was sending him letters, which is again freaking genius. Maybe his motivations are Batman stole from him. I don't know if he lured him in or not. Maybe he sees him as a threat, but he does say that he wants Superman. He wants the world to. He basically wants the world to see how he's willing to dirty himself when it counts. So he wants Superman to kill Batman just so the world will see that he's a fraud. And this goes to one of Lex's big motivations, and that's his broken relationship with his father. Now, if you want to go into the theme of identity, which kind of has come up in the movie between Batman or Clark and Bruce, Lex's identity is this product of a broken childhood where his father beat him and God didn't save him, and he obviously hates God because he had to pull himself up by his bootstraps and get out of that hell. Um, so, yeah, he doesn't like that very much. So, he wants to kill Superman because of that. Like, there's so much in that scene that people aren't talking about, but he wants to expose him expose him as a fraud. Um, and again, he says, and now God bends to my will. He's a freaking crazy genius megalomaniac, and he's twitchy because he's just so freaking smart. And yeah, the twitchiness works because that's what evil geniuses do. They freaking twitch. My parents taught me dying in the gutter for no reason at all. The world only makes sense if you force it to. Tries to kill Superman, and he's about to succeed. Now here's the key. So he's about to kill Superman. Superman says, "You're letting them kill Martha," which goes back to his whole origin. It shoots him right through the center of the heart. You're letting them kill Martha. He became Batman to save Martha. And he didn't just say, "Oh, hey Superman, we're friends now." He asked him like 10 times, "What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?" Superman says, "Find him, save Martha." What does that mean? That's when Lois comes in and saves Superman. Again, not just a damsel in distress. Very powerful figure. Comes in and saves Superman by telling Batman about what Lex has done. You can see, you don't have to hear him say with his mouth how he feels. You can see in his body language that after Lois runs up to save Superman and tells him about Lex, he realizes that he has turned cold and has gone down this dark path. He throws a spear as if he knows he's gone down this dark path, and he goes to save Martha. He couldn't care less about Superman killing Superman at this point. He just wants to save Martha, which is why he became Batman. Alright? That's his legacy. Okay? We gotta get clear about that. His legacy is basically to save Martha, or to save whoever needs saving when he can. Okay? Now, going into Doomsday, people have complained about Doomsday, but Doomsday is so essential to Superman's character. Doomsday is an embodiment of what everyone was thinking Superman is. He represents the ugliness of being an alien and the fear that people have that Superman is going to go crazy, and also the insecurities that he has putting on the suit and being a hero. That's what Doomsday represents, everything ugly. He's basically a form of Superman that Superman is fighting. He's fighting himself, essentially. It's not quite Bizarro, who's kind of the opposite of Superman, but it's kind of like that. He's kind of fighting an ugly version of himself, and he kind of has to face himself and kind of make some choices here. So he's basically fighting the image of Superman that everyone, including Batman, thought he was. This potentially out of control monster. Quick point: the nuke is humanity's greatest weapon, and it failed. Does humanity need Superman? Yes. Its greatest weapon failed. Now, around this fight, and with Doomsday coming in, I started to feel like Batman was like, "I've gone down this wrong path. This isn't right. I'm trying to kill him. I need to save Martha." Superman's like, "Man, I'm not who I'm supposed to be. I need to make better choices here. I need to be better." You kind of get this feeling, they're like, "I need to be better." And I want to mention in this fight too, people were saying, why did he bring him back to Gotham to cause more damage? Now, Wonder Woman asked the same question, and he said, the port is abandoned, and the spear is here. Very straightforward. The port's abandoned, and the spear is here. Um, now, again, Superman is facing himself and facing Doomsday. Alright, he's facing all the ugliness of being who he is. Alright, and you have this kryptonite spear, and you have kind of this choice to make. Okay, now, Superman has to make the choice to basically sacrifice his life. And a lot of the reason that he does it is because of Lois. He says, I love you, and she immediately knows that he's going to take the spear and stab him. Now, I definitely see this scene as Superman, or the directors or creators of this movie, looking at Superman as this guy who's not quite the Superman that he needs to be, and he needs to destroy all of the things that he has failed at, all the things that he's missed as a hero. He needs to pick up that spear and kill Doomsday, kill the form of himself that's not good. Metaphorically, like I've said before. He goes and he stabs Doomsday in the heart, and Doomsday stabs him back, and he basically kills the ugly form, the ugly image that I've said kind of represents him, and he dies. And this is going back. I'm thinking, he needs to be better. Batman needs to be better. Wonder Woman comes in, she's awesome, and kind of a plot hole. She doesn't quite get to the big bad like Lois does. She eventually, realizes Lex is the big bad. No one has really seen that but her. So she helps carry on the movie and the story. Wonder Woman was just getting on a plane. I don't know exactly what her motivation is. Anyway, Superman dies. Batman, Bruce is talking to Wonder Woman about forming the Justice League. And he says, men are still good. We kill, we steal, we do all that stuff. But we can be better. The thing that I was thinking about in that last part of the movie, we can be better, he says it. So obviously you have these different forms of justice where Batman and Superman's forms of justice aren't really working out. They've kind of gone to a dark place. Lex's form of justice emerges as like the predominant one, where he is just crazy. He just wants all the power. He wants the world to see Superman as a fraud so that it can elevate himself, and he's willing to burn up enough of the world so that he can take control. And so we can be better. We're gonna see a better Batman. We're gonna see a better Superman. We're gonna see more heroes, and it's essential that these movies are made, because there's gonna be a lot that comes in here, and we have to see these things that I've mentioned. And this is a long video, I know, but I just hope that you would take the time to really look into this and really think about what I'm saying, that this stuff is what a lot of people missed, and that this movie is a genius movie where you don't need a line that tells every single motivation, every single thought. You can look at the actions, you can look at the context, you can look at what's happened, and you can see what their motivations are. You can see the threads and the plot. And it was a great, great, great plot. And I don't know, I'm sorry if Zack Snyder offended you because he says maybe you're too dumb to understand this movie, but it could possibly be true. I mean, everyone missed a lot of these things. So I just hope you think about this video, and I'm out.